Today, in our money and mental health series, I want to talk about grief and loss, financial setback, and how that might affect us. These are some things sometimes that we don't talk about, but they affect us. They affect our mental health, they affect our relationships, how we feel about ourselves, how we think about ourselves, and sometimes how we move on from these kind of loss, how we recover from these kind of loss. So I want you to know that that is so, it's okay that we experience these things in life. We experience setbacks in life that are unplanned, and maybe you might be hard on yourself because there was no cushion. Some things are completely beyond your control, and there's nothing that you could have done about it, nothing that you could have done differently to change it. If you are in this position right now and you're feeling hopeless, I want you to know that there's hope. And I want you to stay with me. We're going to provide this space that we're holding your hand. If you can imagine that we're holding your hand through the screen while you're going through this time of loss, that might feel completely destabilizing. But I want you to know that there is hope and there is help. Okay, so stay with me. So this loss sometimes results in redundancies. You might be sitting with that right now where you've made redundant. All of a sudden, you do not understand and you're feeling at a loss and don't know what to do and how to move forward. You might be wondering, where will I get another job? Will I get another job like this one? It might be that you just got a raise and you change your lifestyle and now you're in a place of financial crisis and it's affecting your mental health. I want you to hold on. It's not a personal failure, and things can change and will change. So, as I said, whether you're dealing with a job loss, a business failure, or a sudden expense that is big, for people who do not live in countries where there is a welfare system like Britain, where there is help and support in areas around physical health, a sudden illness might completely wipe all of your savings and leave you feeling in distress. Or a long-term financial trauma due to the compound effect of childhood trauma and those chronic behaviors that were developed that have continually repeated itself and is now compounded in losses that are really heart-wrenching. These moments can really shake us deeply, not just money wise, but in our feelings, it can really affect our identity and how we see ourselves. And I want you to know that this kind of loss, like any kind of loss, any grief, we can walk our way through it. We can stumble our way through it, we can muddle through and get through to the other side. And I'm talking about it because this kind of loss is not just about numbers. It's not just about the bank balance. It's about emotions. There's an emotional weight to it, as you would have experienced. And if you're supporting someone, or if you do not, if you're just hearing about it at this time, I want you to stay with me, because maybe there are people in your circle that you could provide a safe space for them to unpack shame, release fear, and get rid of this hopelessness or the sadness, or indeed even anger that comes as a result of it. So grief is not just around bereavement, it's around losing something like this, and as I said, can really affect our identity long term. But you're not weak if you're crying, or if you're feeling sad, or if you're feeling in despair. You're human. And the people that you would reach out to for support, the Citizen Advice Bureau in the UK, or any other debt agencies that might be able to walk you through places like this, will help you to understand that you're not weak. You're just human, and humans go through financial crisis, and you're a human going through a financial crisis, and that's okay, and you can get through on the other side, because we don't want it to be so debilitating that it lets you feel like there's no hope. There is hope. So when these things happen, if you've been in this place before, where you've experienced financial distress before, if you grew up with scarcity, now this might operate as what we call a trigger, where it's touching on an emotion and a feeling that you've experienced before, and it might send you into a trauma response with its fight, flight, or freeze response, where the freeze response either shut down, I'm going to deny that something is happening, I won't do anything about it, And sometimes when we're in that freeze response around money, we literally bury our head in the sand and hide until it's absolutely reached to the maximum. We can't do anything about it, and everything is in dire place. Sometimes we do that because the emotions feel so overwhelming that we think it's going to take over us and we're not going to be able to cope. I want you to know that even in that place of being so deeply triggered and destabilized, you can get help and you can walk through it to cope. Somebody will hold your hand. Try not to do it alone. It can affect your decision making. It can affect your memory. And of course, your confidence. So if you're dealing with loss, you've lost your job, and you're in that place of being destabilized, your confidence might be greatly shaken. But I want you to know that though you're in this place right now, it's not a reflection of who you are as a person, as an individual. It doesn't write your future. The now doesn't write your future. You determine that, and with support, you can write your future. Your tomorrow can look completely different than what today looks like. And sometimes it's just sitting with somebody, show them all the letters, show them all the numbers, talk about what's going on and how you feel, just somebody to listen to you. And that will, an enormous shift will happen and you can bounce back. Yeah. We're not perfect. God doesn't expect us to get things right all the time. He knows that things were going to happen. He knows that we would experience job loss. When I'm going through a crisis that is really difficult, what I tell myself is that this is not a surprise to God. He knew that this would happen, and it's not a surprise to him. Nothing that I go through is a surprise to him. So I can go to him for help. Even when I don't feel comfortable enough talking to anybody else about it, I know I can go to him, I can go pray, and I will get help, because his word says, call unto me and I will answer. And I'm going to show you great things that you do not know. So there are ways that he has for you to get out of the situation that you're in right now that you do not yet know. But sometimes if you're feeling too ashamed to pray, if you're feeling too distressed to pray, if you're feeling so much in worry and in guilt that you feel like he will not hear you, I want you to know that that's not true. He will hear you, and you can learn to begin again to get through this period of loss. So here are some things that you can do. You can name the loss. What have I lost? Was it your job that you've lost? Was it the big bill? Was it all your savings wiped out because of an illness that was unplanned? Well, of course, illnesses are unplanned, but an illness that just hits us sideways and we're completely unprepared, and it takes away all of our savings, and we're in a place of financial deficit that feels, the worry and the fear and the shame feels overwhelming. This instability doesn't represent the rest of your life. And so I'm going to invite you to journal. What have I lost? And what does the loss represent to me? Did it mean that you break promises that you made to yourself and you can no longer keep them? Did it mean that you have to break promises that you made to your children that you can't keep? Promises that you make to others that you can't keep? Write about what that feels like for you. And create, as you're writing through that, journal through that, praying through that. Lamentations said that God's mercies are new every morning, and his faithfulness is great towards us. And his faithfulness will be can be a place of anchor. It can be a place that anchors you through the difficulty of this loss, this grief that you're going through. And just like there was a resurrection, remember, Jesus rose on the third day. There's a resurrection. And if you look up, one of the things that happens to us when we're in crisis, we can't remember the times when we've come through it because it feels so overwhelming and all-encompassing. But if you think about the time when you came through difficulties and what that felt like, and just know that though this feels like this situation might feel hopeless to you, that you've always come through. Read the stories of other people who come through and look forward to the resurrection for yourself of your finances and what that will mean and what that will look like. There are many stories that we read about people who have had these experiences and how heartwarming they are and how we learn so much from it. So, as you are journaling about where you are and what you've lost and what that felt like, Also journal about the people who have made it through. What did they do? How did they do it? Because as you're writing, there's something that's beautiful that's happening. The brain is learning something else, and you will start to feel differently as you are acknowledging, naming, sitting with the loss. And finally, if you're journaling, if you're writing, if you're praying and it still feels hopeless, reach out to support. Your local citizen advice bureau, even your GP who might direct you, they sometimes have places that can help people. There's Deathline. There are different places that can help you to listen to what you're going through and to provide resources and assistance to help you through this difficult time. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like and to subscribe to our channel and to share the video with those who you think would benefit.